Night, 1622. The wind doesn't rise. It detonates. A Spanish galleon is shoved sideways through the Florida Straits, canvas shredding, masts snapping like bones. Orders vanish in the noise. The rudder tears free. The ship is no longer sailing. It's being beaten. Waves climb the deck, grab men, and throw them back broken. In minutes, discipline collapses into instinct. Someone screams to cut weight. Someone else prays. The ocean answers neither. The hull opens. Water floods in faster than hands can bail. Gold bars slam loose. Silver chests tumble. Coins spill like blood. This isn't a wreck drifting into history. It's a forced erasure. When the ship finally goes under, it takes more than lives. It takes certainty. $500 million worth of empire, measured in bars, chests, and promises, drops into darkness and disappears. No map saves it. No witness can point. The sea scrubs the scene clean. By morning, there is nothing to chase, nothing to recover, only a rumor heavy enough to rot the mind. The name will come later. The obsession comes immediately, because when something this valuable vanishes without permission, someone will spend a lifetime trying to make the ocean give it back at any cost necessary. By sunrise, the storm has moved on, but the damage doesn't fade with the clouds. Somewhere beneath the calm surface, the wreck lies torn open, scattered, erased. Survivors don't talk about heroics. They talk about weight. Too much of it. Gold meant to finance an empire now pinning a ship to the seafloor. Silver bars meant to pay soldiers now anchoring bodies in the dark. This wasn't just a ship that sank. It was a floating vault, and it went down intact enough to matter, broken enough to vanish. Records survive even when ships don't. Clerks in Spain had already done their work. Neat columns, exact counts, numbers written with confidence. 150 gold bars, over 1,000 silver bars, more than 50 chests packed tight with coins, each item logged, weighed, stamped, and assigned a purpose. The paperwork outlives the men. That's the problem, because a treasure this precisely documented can't disappear without creating pressure. Weeks later, a second hurricane tears through the same waters and finishes the job, shredding the wreck into a miles-long debris field. The ocean doesn't hide the treasure. It disperses it. No coordinates, no clean sight. Just numbers on paper and an expanse of water wide enough to erase certainty. The value doesn't fade with time. It multiplies. And every year the wreck stays lost. The idea of it grows heavier, sharper, and far more dangerous. For the next 3 centuries, people chase the wrong ocean. Maps point north. Legends drift east. Fishermen swear they saw something glitter after storms. Then nothing. The Florida Keys stretch for nearly 200 miles, shallow, shifting, hostile. Sand moves. Reefs cut hulls. Visibility at the bottom drops to inches the moment a fin or anchor touches down. Every expedition assumes the wreck sank clean and stayed put. That assumption kills the search. Storms don't preserve wrecks here. They shred them. Currents don't guard secrets. They drag them. Wood rots. Iron breaks. Treasure doesn't wait in piles like a movie scene. It spreads, mile by mile, year by year. The ocean turns coordinates into guesses and guesses into careers ruined quietly. Generations burn fuel, money, and reputation scanning the wrong grids, confident the prize must still be whole. But nothing down there is whole anymore. The Florida Straits don't reward optimism. They punish certainty. By the time anyone realizes the ship never sank in one place, the idea of finding it feels less like exploration and more like self-inflicted damage. Mel Fisher doesn't enter this story as a legend. He enters it broke, sunburned, and stubborn. A diving instructor from California, not a conquistador, not a billionaire. He teaches people how to breathe underwater for a living. That's it. No backers, no safety net. When he hears about the lost Atocha, it doesn't sound like destiny. It sounds like unfinished business someone else quit. So he sells what he can't carry, loads his family onto a boat that looks underprepared and moves east. The plan, if you can call it that, is simple. Search until the ocean says no in a way that can't be ignored. Early dives return nothing. No glitter, no artifacts, just sand and silence. Days blur into weeks. Fuel drains. Patience erodes. Locals shake their heads and place bets on how long he'll last. Fisher keeps logging miles anyway, convinced that failure is data and persistence is leverage. This is not obsession yet. It's something colder. A refusal to accept that history gets to decide who is allowed to finish a story. For now, quitting would mean admitting the ocean is smarter, richer, and more patient than any man willing to challenge it alone out there. 1 year passes without a single reward. Not a coin, not a nail, nothing that proves the Atocha ever existed beneath their fins. The boat burns fuel in tight grids measured in miles, day after day, while the ocean returns the same answer every time. Blank. Dives end with empty hands and ringing ears. Air tanks drain faster than hope. Money follows. Repairs stack up. Supplies thin out. Every calculation points to the same conclusion. This search should already be over. But Fisher treats failure like a map being drawn in reverse. Each empty dive narrows the field. Each wasted mile eliminates a lie. The crew grows quiet. Conversations shorten. Jokes disappear. At night, the sea looks calm enough to forgive itself, and that makes it worse. Because calm means nothing moved. Nothing revealed itself. The ocean isn't fighting back. It's ignoring them. That indifference becomes the real enemy. Not storms, not depth. Silence. A year of it. And silence is expensive. By now, the hunt isn't about treasure. It's about whether endurance alone can force the truth to surface, or whether persistence is just another way people drown slowly without ever going under while history watches without blinking coldly. When money starts thinning, guessing becomes fatal. Fisher finally stops listening to the ocean and starts listening to paper. He brings in Eugene Lyon, a historian who trusts archives more than instincts. Lyon flies to Seville, into rooms where dust outlives empires. He finds a document written 4 years after the wreck, blunt and bureaucratic. It mentions a search, not near where everyone has been looking. Far west, near the Marquesas Keys, over 100 miles off the assumed site. That single sentence detonates the map. If the Spanish searched there, it means they knew something survivors never said out loud. Fisher moves immediately. No celebration, no debate. Boats relocate, grids are redrawn. But the water is deeper now, the bottom darker. Visibility collapses to nothing once sand lifts. Divers can't see their own hands. The ocean hasn't become generous. It has raised the price of entry. This isn't a breakthrough, it's a trade. Clarity on paper for blindness underwater, and Fisher accepts it because for the first time failure has a direction, and the clock finally starts moving forward. The problem isn't finding the wreck, it's seeing anything at all. Down there, the sand behaves like smoke. One kick, one careless movement, and the world vanishes. Divers descend into brown blindness, feeling instead of looking, counting seconds instead of distance. Searching like this is pointless. So Fisher stops pretending patience will solve it. He decides to cheat the ocean. The solution isn't elegant, it's aggressive. He rigs large pipes to the boat's propellers, forcing clean surface water straight down to the seafloor. When the engines engage, the bottom explodes outward. Mud lifts, sand peels back. What was buried is exposed by pressure and noise. It's crude, loud, and brutally effective. The ocean responds by fighting back harder. Holes collapse, currents shift, visibility clears just long enough to reveal shapes before everything rushes in again. But now the sea is blinking, and blinking is enough. The method doesn't uncover treasure. It uncovers truth. Objects appear where nothing should be. Edges, shadows, iron where iron doesn't belong. Fisher doesn't celebrate. He watches patterns form. Because once you force the ocean to show you even a fragment, you're no longer guessing. You're interrogating it. And interrogation always escalates. One day the sand clears and something heavy refuses to move. An anchor. Not gold, not silver, just proof. Proof that a ship died here violently enough to leave bones behind. Then more pieces surface. Cannonballs, iron nails, fragments meant to hold wood together now scattered like teeth. None of it pays a bill. None of it makes headlines. But it does something worse. It confirms proximity. Fisher marks every find, plotting circles on a growing chart, resisting the urge to chase. Patterns matter more than luck. Slowly, a line emerges, thin and undeniable, pointing away from comfort and toward obsession. This isn't treasure yet. It's structure, evidence that the wreck didn't vanish. It migrated. Storms dragged it. Currents aligned it. The ocean didn't erase the Atocha. It rearranged it with intention. Standing on deck, staring at that line, Fisher understands the danger. Following it means committing. No retreat remains. Momentum doesn't bring relief. It brings a bill. The night the cannons are lifted, the sea takes something back. One of Fisher's boats capsizes in darkness, fast and quiet. The kind of accident that leaves no time for heroics. 3 men don't come up. One of them is his son. There's no speech, no vow, no swelling music. Just radios crackling, engines idling, and the ocean doing what it always does. Waiting. The search freezes. Not because it's over, but because it's suddenly expensive in a new currency. Grief doesn't slow the work. It distorts it. Every decision feels heavier. Every risk feels personal. The treasure stops being a prize and becomes a justification, then a burden. People ask if it's worth it. Fisher doesn't answer. He logs the loss the same way he logs coordinates, because stopping would turn the deaths into punctuation. Continuing turns them into a sentence. The line on the chart remains. The cost is now permanent, and the ocean, indifferent as ever, offers no apology, no closure, only depth and history keeps the ledger open forever. Years pass without mercy. The line goes cold. Fines dry up. Bills don't. Lawyers replace divers as the loudest voices on deck when the state of Florida moves in, claiming ownership of whatever the sea gives up. Courtrooms become another ocean, slow, expensive, designed to exhaust. Fisher burns savings, sells coins just to keep fuel in the tanks, cleans silver by electrolysis at night to buy another morning. Public patience evaporates. Skeptics call it obsession. Friends call it denial. The charts stay pinned, unchanged, accusing. Storms come and go, rearranging sand, undoing weeks of work in a tide cycle. The crew shrinks. Hope learns how to whisper. Still, the logic holds. Wrecks don't disappear. They disperse. Somewhere beyond the dead end, beyond the silence, the rest of the ship waits. Not because the ocean is kind, but because physics doesn't forget. Fisher keeps searching, not chasing treasure anymore, but defending a conclusion against time, money, and a sea that punishes belief. Then the instruments twitch. Not dramatically, just enough to matter. The magnetometer flickers southeast of the line, where no one wanted to look because it meant admitting years of certainty were incomplete. Fisher doesn't argue with the signal. He plots it. Divers drop and find metal where theory says there should be none. Another hit appears, then another. The pattern bends. A second line begins to form, faint and dangerous, suggesting the wreck didn't just scatter, it split. A later storm, stronger and crueler, dragged the heavier pieces away from the original trail and buried them deeper, farther, quieter. This isn't hope returning. It's pressure shifting. Following the new line means starting over with less money, less time, and fewer people willing to believe. But the math is clean. Debris follows force. Force followed this direction. Fisher commits, again. Because when evidence contradicts comfort, comfort is the first thing that has to go. They find it on July 20th, 1985. Not with a cheer, not with a shout. A diver drifts off the grid, about 100 yards east, following nothing but instinct sharpened by failure. The seabed opens into shape. 80 feet of wreckage. Silver bars stacked like bricks. Chests split open, coins spilling where no hands have touched them in centuries. Gold where gold was always supposed to be. The line was real. The second line was real. And buried deeper, quieter, are emeralds. Raw, uncut, Colombian. Thumb-sized stones worth more than most houses, hiding inside a ship history said never carried them. The ocean didn't give up the treasure. It finally ran out of ways to hide it. Mel Fisher wins the lawsuits. He gets the headlines, he gets the money. But the ledger never balances. Time is gone. A son is gone. Years are gone. This story isn't about luck. It's about endurance colliding with systems designed to outlast people. Nature, bureaucracy, doubt. The warning is simple and uncomfortable. Obsession can build empires, and it can hollow them out. Choose carefully what you refuse to quit. If this story earned your time, hit like. Share it with someone who loves dark history. Subscribe for more stories where history doesn't flinch, and neither do we.